Brilliant. So good afternoon, everybody. I want to start by saying a big thank you, really, for being invited to this today. So my name is Stuart Wiffin. My name, I coordinate actually the Rights Respecting Schools Award for all of Wales. I'm based in Swansea, and more recently, which is why I'm here today, have taken over the coordination of the southwest of England. As Steve mentioned, we've got a really exciting project that's just started with 8 secondary schools within the county, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. So I've been invited along today just to talk you through the award itself, what it's all about, and to really signpost, the difference and the change that drives, that we see across the schools that we work with. There's currently around 5,000 schools across the UK who are taking part in various stages of the Rights Respecting Schools Award itself. So today is just a bit of a flavour of what that looks like. And then if any of you obviously are affiliated with schools or can think of a school that this would really benefit, it'd be lovely to connect with you after today, and see if we can continue to drive this across the southwest. So without further ado, so this is just going to be a quick introduction. But again, any questions, like Steve said, please let me know, but there will be that Q&A time at the beginning. So here are my details. So like I said, I'm the professional advisor for UNICEF UK for Wales and the Southwest. Okay, so that's my email address there. It will be up again at the end. So if you want to get in touch, please let me know moving forward. So just some of the things I'm going to cover today. So what is the Rights Respecting Schools Award? How that really works in practice. What might a school or setting, or why might they want to participate in the award itself? And finally, those next steps. So if you are interested in this, ways that we can support you and your young people in the Southwest to really put right to the heart of what they are doing. So we will make a start. Just to set the context really about UNICEF itself, Steve said, that UNICEF, we do a lot of work. A lot of our work you perhaps will know from our global work. So just to set that context for you, so UNICEF works in over 190 countries, really in some of the world's toughest environments, reaching children who really need it the most. Now, our global reach includes 36 national committees, like UNICEF UK, so we are one of the global committees, and then that is supported then by the network of country offices and field staff. So a lot of our work you will have seen there. But the Rights Respecting Schools Award sits within our UK programmes teams. So there are a few programmes that run across the UK, most notably the Rights Respecting Schools Award, but you may have heard of our other programmes such as the Baby Friendly Initiative, which accredits maternity services across the UK with an accreditation in maternity hospitals, etc. So there's just some facts about UNICEF UK, but we are the sort of UK leg of it, which then the work we do supports our international and global work as well moving forward. So what is the Rights Respecting Schools Award? I think is the $100 question. So the Rights Respecting Schools Award places the UNCRC, or the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, at the very heart of a school's culture and ethos. Now, this isn't just about knowing rights, but about living them every day. And it's a whole school approach to rights education and practice. Now, we call this an award, okay? This is the one thing that we do express to our schools. It's lovely to get an award and it's lovely to get another accreditation. But our purpose is to really drive change within schools, which then has a knock-on effect of communities and globally then as well. So I think coming along to today, to the Creating Change Day, I think is a perfect example of how we can really start to create change within communities. And that's something we'll be obviously monitoring with our project moving forward with those 8 secondary schools to see what tangible difference we can really make by putting this in the heart of the school's culture and ethos as well. So it's not an add-on, it's not something we're trying to achieve, it's a whole new way of working within schools. Because our goal is that every child and young person knows that they are rights holders and that these rights are unconditional. So children's rights are theirs no matter what. So regardless of where a child comes from, the type of family, their gender, etc., all children across the world should be having their rights. And it's really grounded in 5 key principles that we explore as schools move through the stages of the award. Equality, dignity, respect, non-discrimination, and participation. So all of the things we all know make a big difference to children across the UK. And like I said, at the centre of all of this is the UNCRC itself, which sets out, the rights that every child is entitled to. Now, I'm going to show you a short film in a second. It's about 9 minutes long. We've recently launched this short film, and it shows you, it's the most succinct way of showing you what a rights respecting school is. Now, this film that we're going to see was created by pupils from 4 gold rights respecting schools across the UK, some primaries, a secondary school, and an additional needs setting as well. And for the first time, we've put all of the planning into the hands of the children. So participation is one of our key areas. So this film was scripted, storyboarded, wrote, produced, and actually filmed by the pupils themselves alongside our media partners. So we'll just watch this and then I'll dive into a bit more about the actual award itself. Hopefully.
We're going to be here and then we're going to slide in front of the camera and say we have rights like this. We have rights.
And we're making a film to kind of show what rights respecting is all about.
I really like this.
Ready?
Learning about everyone else's rights makes a positive difference to our school.
Rights respecting schools means that they make sure everyone has their rights, like every child and every adult.
Scene 1, take 1, action.
Why do you care about rights?
Because understanding your rights gives you lots of power, and it means that you can change your life when you understand your rights.
Right respecting schools and all the articles ensure that young people in the school community can have their voices heard, that they know that they are respected and valued as part of the school community. And we're really embedding that now from policies to our pupil parliament and right across and trying to embed it within the school curriculum.
The ABCD rights are really important in our everyday life, so it's really easy to remember.
Scene 1, take 5, action.
These are our ABCD of rights. Baz, will you take the lead? Rights are for all children, which is A. B is rights are there at birth. C is rights cannot be taken away. D is rights do not have to be earned. And E is all rights are equal.
What difference does learning about children's rights make to the whole school?
It changes the whole structure of the school, and it changes the way our staff perceive teaching and learning. I think the most important thing about the Rights Respecting Schools programme is the journey to the Gold Award. It has changed the way the school works and operates. It has really added a formal voice to the children.
Scene 3, take 1. This room is kind of where our whole rights respecting happened. So at the beginning there was about 4 of us, and now it's expanded to maybe 30.
It has just grown and grown, and to the point where this classroom is not enough and we're moving into Mr. Jack's room.
Before we were a rights respecting school, I would say I wasn't part of any clubs. I wasn't part of anything really in this school. And I joined rights respecting and everything just kind of opened up.
What I like best about being a rights respecting school is that the teachers listen.
Scene 2, take 1, action.
Why do you think that it is important that adults listen to children?
Children often see things that adults miss or don't understand.
Let's go through this one.
And you know what? I think it's really important that adults don't forget what it was like when they were children.
I feel like young people are always going to have different perspectives.
I really hope adults listen to this and understand that it's really important for their kids to learn about their rights.
You all have to listen to other people.
So when we're older, We'll have some of our ideas there, some of our own inventions, some of our own there. Do you know what I mean?
It is incredible what a 5-year-old who knows about their rights can stand up and say. And you think if at 5 they can do that, what can they do when they're 10, the 15, the 20? And it can really create those future leaders for our society.
What are the changes you have seen before we was rights respecting school?
I think when you think about rights respecting, it's all about culture. And what I've just really noticed is a huge change in the culture of the school. We are such an empathetic school. I think you see real acts of kindness. I think we're an incredibly supportive school. Everyone wants to help each other, and I think that's largely been due to us adopting the rights respecting school framework.
Scene 2, take 1.
I'm gonna climb up the tree.
I see children joining in with other people, letting people play. I also see children knowing their boundaries on privacy and everything.
My favourite thing in school is probably like the right to relax and play, because without it, it would just be a boring world with nothing to do.
What were your first steps on the rights respecting journey?
We do a lot of advocacy work in our school. You have a lot of opportunity to campaign. You campaigned for a mural for Betty Campbell.
Roll 2, scene 1, take 1, action.
Betty Campbell was the first black head teacher of Wales.
As you come into school, you probably saw a very big mural on the wall of Betty Campbell. As she was first black head teacher in Wales, the children here are very interested in that. So they wrote me some letters as chair governors. They then came and presented to the governing body, and the mural outside the school was one of the tangible outcomes.
How has it helped with the relationships with staff and people?
We're a special needs school. We've got a diverse range of young people.
This is our feeling safe box. What this is, it's like if you're feeling like rather annoyed, sad or mad or something, like you just post this in our vice principal, Mr. Mack, he'll read it.
It has to do with the Article 19 to be safe.
The rights respecting school has really strengthened the relationships between the pupils and the staff.
I think it really, really makes my job easier, because I think the children want to be here more. They realise the power of education. They realise that I'm not just choosing to stand at the front and talk about grammar.
My favourite right is the right to an education.
It's just like nice. I've not got any better way to describe it, but there's really good like staff and people like relationships, and I feel so comfortable and like welcomed in the school.
Why do you think it's important for people to feel included in this school?
The kids have as much right to that respect that I get to know them as people did that are paying £100 for a meal sort of thing.
I think it transforms children into mindful citizens that are aware of what their basic human needs are and what they should be accessing. So as they grow older, they're mindful of what they should be given access to, but they also are able to fight for the rights of other children. So by being a rights respecting school, we're transforming them into global citizens where they're aware of world issues and issues that affect all children.
I know that our rights respecting team have been really fantastic at linking those rights and working out which rights do fit into our visions and values, and that awareness across the school has built and grown a lot over the last couple of years too.
Scene 3, take 1, in the library.
Sounds like Cluedo in the library with the clapboard.
We have lots of books here, which as you can see gives us the right to find out and share information. I feel really safe, calm and relaxed.
It's a safe space, I would say, so it's important to the students that they have that space.
Why should other schools become rights respecting?
I think it gives a really good framework. You need to see that you have a voice, that you can be agents of change, and that is what the framework gives you.
Best decision I think we made as a school.
Every school should be a rights respecting school. We shouldn't be denying some children the opportunity of being part of this incredible experience.
I think a lot of people think they know about children's rights, and I think that's a misconception.
It really, I think, could have a transformative effect on our society if everybody learned about human rights and using their voice from an early age.
I think every single school should be a rights respecting school.
I can honestly say the worst thing about this school is everywhere you turn there's an article, but it's pretty good if that's the worst thing.
I feel that I have had the opportunity to be part of creating a really special community, and I think it will stay with these children for the rest of their life. I think they will remember being loved and being respected and being empowered, and I'm going to cry if I talk about that too much. I think the ripple effect of how we treat children now, I think will go through their lives, and to be part of that is just the most incredible opportunity.
Since we're so proud of it, we want you guys to be proud too, so we want you guys to become part of the Rights Respecting, and I think that would be fantastic because it just creates a bigger community.
And cut! That's a wrap!
Brilliant. So hopefully that gave you a really sort of rounded view on what a rights respecting is. Now these these schools that worked with us today really have gone through the whole journey. So these are gold rights respecting schools. We'll see that journey, and we're aware of time, so we'll go through the next part just to really highlight how this works and what this framework looks like for a school. So as you can see from the screen, it's about enabling children and young people to make those informed decisions and grow into those confident, active and empowered citizens. We have got, as Steve mentioned, huge amount of data which shows the difference that this is making, and that impact report that we have is available on our website. I'm sure we can send it out to you as well, because that really highlights in tangible terms how that's made a difference for a lot of areas, which has also fed into why every London school now has been provided with this, because it's come out of the knife crime prevention budget. So that's we are hoping that and it's starting to already actually make a big difference across a lot of the different boroughs. So again, a whole school approach to child's rights and human rights education. And we've got a model that's based on international good practice, which is learning about rights, learning through rights, and learning for the rights of others. Because we want our children and young people to really realise they are rights holders, and their rights are, as I mentioned before, unconditional. This is not something that is just a nice idea for them. These are laws, these are things, they're enshrined in international law. These things should be happening for children. So yeah, and again, the 5 areas that we work from. So those of you who don't know, I'm assuming everybody does know, but all of our work is based on the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the UNCRC, an international agreement that sets out 54 articles detailing the rights that every child is entitled to. So things like education, safety, healthcare, and to have their voice heard. And our role, so UNICEF is the only charity that's explicitly mentioned within the convention itself. So we have to make sure that these rights are realised for children everywhere, especially those living in the tougher situations. So again, here in the UK, our UK programmes are working on that, but that definitely feeds into our global work as well. As you saw from the video, it's all about change. How can we create change within a school, a culture? Changing that culture has this huge knock-on effect into communities and wider afield as well. So as I mentioned before, the 3 strands here, based on international sort of good practice. If you've seen any sort of, if you looked at the Scottish curriculum, for example, the Welsh curriculum, these are now embedded, especially in Scotland, where it's become part of law. So that's really made a difference across Scotland. So just to give you a very quick overview of our 3 strands. So strand A is about teaching and learning about rights. Now this is where children are given knowledge of their rights. You might have seen in the video that A, B, C, D, E of rights. That is an acronym that we use to really simplify knowledge of rights for children, that they're for all children. You get them from birth, they cannot be taken away, they do not have to be earned, and they are all equal as well. So a lot of schools will put in lots of different ways that they can teach their children about rights. That might be through assemblies, it may be through homeroom time, it may be through whole school right of the month projects. Every school does it differently, but we see lots of really creative ways of expressing to children what their rights are, why they're important, and that then naturally leads on to strand B, which is having their rights lived through the experiences that they are having in school. So once there's a sequential nature to this. Once you know your rights and you've learnt about them, we then challenge our schools to look into their good practice that they're already doing. So, a lot of you are probably thinking of projects that are happening in schools or things you're seeing in the community. And it's about looking at what you're already doing and beginning to underpin that with rights. And then looking at those concepts of equality, dignity, respect, non-discrimination. How can we strengthen schools' already good practice? And what that often does, it highlights areas to school where they may be missing areas or things they'd like to further develop, which is where all of our, a wealth of resources we have on the website, and I'll show you that later, can be found. So strand B, learning through rights, and then that naturally leads on to strand C, which is that teaching and learning for rights. You saw in the video about children who are campaigning. Campaigning and driving change locally and globally is a big part of the Rights Respecting Schools Award. We always see children who are empowered to drive change. They've learnt about their rights. They felt them lived in school, and then suddenly they're looking out into their communities and spotting injustice. We see day in, day out, children who have come to us have said, this wasn't right. Now we know our rights. Now we know our voices are being heard. This is how we're going to tackle it. And schools suddenly become places where things aren't done to children anymore, but done with them. Children feel empowered, their confidence grows. And it's really lovely to see this shift within schools where children are looking out and thinking, right, litter's an issue, antisocial behaviour is an issue, there's not enough play equipment, all sorts of different things. And then they're writing to decision makers. They're perhaps planning very peaceful protests. They are doing so much work which shows them that their voice has power and it can make change for the better. So those are the 3 strands. So again, if there's any questions about these, I know this is a bit quick, but please let me know at the end. So the accreditation journey itself, you hear me mention in gold, rights respecting schools. That's sort of the end point. That's where we want schools to be. So there's a natural progression to the school journey. Schools who register with us, they'll get welcome packs. So all of our Somerset schools have just come on board now, have just received their welcome packs, and then they first work towards this bronze level, which is becoming committed to becoming a rights respecting school. And that's purely a planning stage. So we ask schools to set up a steering group of pupils and adults in the school who are going to drive this across the school, and they submit an action plan to us. That's usually done in the first 3 to 6 months. Then as they're working through that action plan, they'll then go on to the silver award, and then finally becoming fully rights respecting, which is gold. So at silver, we're looking at things that are beginning to be implemented within schools, because there are 9 outcomes that we work from. Those 9 outcomes are based on things that all schools would typically be doing. We have an outcome on relationships, an outcome on well-being, an outcome on safety, an outcome on pupil voice, campaigning, all of these other things. And then typically schools will then reach gold, which is fully rights respecting, which does take a few years. So our Somerset project is a 3-year project. So we are hoping to see some of our schools achieve gold by the end of that. So that's the process itself. We always have schools coming to us. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to get people to buy into this, but the evidence really does speak for itself. So, our evidence that we've gathered, and it can be shared with you, is that children in rights respecting schools, I should say, have greater commitment to social justice and inclusion among pupils. There are always instances of reduced bullying and discrimination. We see schools with better well-being, a sense of safety, and really feeling valued. Higher engagement and improved attainment across pupils as well. This really does hit most areas across school. And I think for me, when I'm going into all of my schools that I work with, I think most importantly for me sometimes is these students who are becoming active citizens within their communities, making that positive impact in their local and global communities as well. So in short, really, embedding rights transforms culture, the school culture for everybody involved. Like I said, we do have an impact report available on the website that we can certainly share with you. Something else we've been working as well. Sorry if this is a bit small, you might not be able to see this, but again, we can send this out to you. The award itself is grounded in a clear theory of change. So the idea that if a school's culture, relationships, curriculum and leadership are all guided by the UNCRC, then children will experience real positive change in their everyday lives. So this is a document. I won't go into too much about it now, but the theory of change that we've created, and it's recently been updated, it connects that rights knowledge with everyday behaviour and decision making, because we know when rights are respected and promoted by the whole school community, that culture shifts. And this in turn supports better learning outcomes for children, stronger relationships, and ultimately helps children grow into adults who value and protect human rights in their societies as well. So this is a long-term project, and we see, you know, I started this in my school. I was a teacher before this in 2006, I believe it was, you know, and that school is still going with this journey and is continued to really drive change across Swansea itself. So I won't read these out to you. Everything I've just said really is up on here. So lots of reasons why we see schools coming on board and the real difference it makes, you know, all backed by data. So yeah. So the Somerset project itself, we've got 8 secondary schools on board, you know, and that covers, you know, all of the costs that typically schools pay for to be part of the award. From our e-learning modules, we'll be doing some sort of live training events. We've got support workshops, the visits themselves. So silver and a gold visit are sort of silvers over Teams, gold are face-to-face. And obviously in conjunction with Somerset Safeguarding Children's Partnership, you know, we're really excited to see what difference this can make across the county as well. So if you are somebody who's sitting there thinking, actually, I know a school or I work in a school and this would be perfect for them, you know, have a look at the website. You can find it on unicef.org.uk/RRSA. There is a wealth of free information on there, resources, case studies, impact reports. You know, we don't hide anything behind a sort of wall. Everything is available to anyone out there who'd like to go and have a look at it. And then you can really see how other schools have made this journey, and maybe start planning something that you'd like to move ahead with. So this is the website. Sorry, I did say it without putting the slide up. So unicef.org.uk/RRSA. Lots of information on there. And, you know, obviously, if there's any questions, we won't do them now. We'll leave it for that last piece at the end. But a big thank you from me for inviting me along today. Hopefully that's been beneficial to you all. Here's my information. And if you need anything else, I look forward to chatting at the end.